The latest software using AI to help create news articles to inform the public, right? Well, experts agree that AI is far from replacing journalists, but there are big advantages and challenges in spreading the truth. Edit's Tianshan has more.
Genesis, an AI software developed by Google, aims to write news articles. The new technology has been demonstrated to publications like the New York Times, and it's triggered a new debate around AI's role in journalism.
Artificial intelligence can generate stories, but journalists have more of a sense of context, are more, up to date on things, are more able to kind of hone a point of view, and will write better stories than an AI will write.
Many experts say AI softwares are not in a position to fill the essential role journalists have in creating and fact-checking their articles, but some jobs have already been impacted.
We've only started to see layoffs. I think copy editors is one example. Another example are illustrators, because of these image generation tools. There have been some layoffs in some countries related to illustrators. So far, the layoffs attributable to AI have been relatively small, but there's probably going to be more.
But AI could also be a crucial aid to journalists in their work. According to Jonathan May, a professor at the University of Southern California, AI's ability to go through large amounts of data in a very short period of time could be a game changer, especially in situations where journalists are looking for discrepancies or irregularities in a long list of documents.
The programmer is not going to be able to understand the nuance needed to write a meaningful story, to even do the next level of digging. But to get to bubble these things to the top, that's going to save time, so that you're not just looking at a list of everything, but rather you're looking at a ranked list. So much like, your search results when you use a search engine, right? Rather than looking at the entire internet, right? You look at the things that an algorithm has helped try to predict are going to be most meaningful, and that saves us all a lot of time.
But AI also presents significant challenges in the area of misinformation, as it's become increasingly more difficult to verify and authenticate some of the content that's easily created by AI softwares accessible to anyone.
This effectively multiplies the risk of fake spreading, and as a result, it obliges us, as citizens and certainly the public authorities, to take measures to say, we need to control information. We need to think about ways of certifying the information that circulates globally on the networks and all the information circuits.
Artificial intelligence may not replace journalists anytime soon, but its dramatic advancement is sure to leave its mark on the way in which articles and other content are created and presented to audiences. It is Tianshan, CGTN, Los Angeles.
For more on the role that AI might be playing in journalism, for what you see or read, I'm joined by Steve Olenick. He's a sports attorney and chair of the sports and entertainment practice at the law firm Mintz. Good to see you and welcome to the show. This has been a hot topic for the last few months as AI has exploded, and a lot of people are pushing back, citing either ethics, citing copyright infringement, and then the last story you just heard, certifying or verifying has become a real issue. And I wonder, it's something that you guys at the law firm, in a sense, if you say something, it must be true, or how do we verify this?
Well, Phil, thanks for having me, and happy Friday, and good morning as well. But yeah, it's a great point. I think specifically with, using AI right now in terms of being a journalist or any other professional person using AI, you do have to verify. Is it a quick, easy way to do some preliminary research to find some data points? But then once again, you have to be able to verify it. You have to go be able to fact check it, be able to look at the sources, verify the information, be able to make sure that what you're putting down on paper is actually accurate. And I think some of the problem is a lot of times people do rely on the computer to do their work.
Right. I mean,
So
there's two sides of it, right? We are content creators. I mean, we're making news stories or we're discussing news stories that viewers assume are accurate. But when AI comes into play and sort of helps do the story or does the story, do you think that media organizations have a right to disclose the fact that this particular story was in part written or fully written by a machine?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. I think in terms of what they disclose and what they don't disclose, in terms of what the journalist does, I think that in terms of using pieces of that information, in terms of like the right to use that information and have the freedom of using that information to be able to like put forth the story, I think it would be nice to say that you're utilizing sources and providing and disclosing that information so that the user of using that information can go do their own independent research or fact finding to get to the conclusion that they want.
Well, you have one example. You're in New York. The U.S. Open's going on over there, and this year, in collaboration with IBM, they're testing this AI to commentate on tennis matches, which before maybe it's John McEnroe talking about it, but now it's a computer, and they'll discuss the point, and they'll also translate it into various languages. Who owns the copyright to all of that? Is it still the media organization?
That's a great point. I mean, right now, there's actually just a ruling that came out in DC whereby if there's no human element tied to the AI generated content, it's not copyrightable right now. So in terms of who owns it specifically, the original person that maybe put forth that research or the data points. So taking your US Open, now they're able to use the ability of all these data points and building into the algorithm of the computer to put in and put forth all this information so that you can potentially look at player comps, say like Djokovic playing Alcaraz, or what umpire, or the way the player plays, what draws that they have. So in terms of utilizing that data, I think it's going to get better over time. But you still have to look at who's putting that data in there. Is it a human or is it the computer just generating and kind of mining it to use that training data to come out with the outcome?
Well, let's talk about a real life issue. This actors strike that's happening right now that's unresolved, and one of the key sticking points is that the actors are upset that the content creators are using the likeness of maybe your voice or your face or something you've done in the past, and they extrapolate that into new content. Who owns it, and what rights does anybody have, or do we have to get a lawyer like you?
Well, it's interesting. So right of publicity is state-specific law. It's not federally regulated. So in terms of getting that and then having the right to use that specific name, image, likeness, that's one of the specific issues tied to the WGA and SAG-AFTRA right now in terms of the strike, because they're looking at money, they're looking at the royalties associated, and then the AI specifically, whereby if the specific platform that they engage, contract with, if it's a contract of adhesion, meaning a one-sided agreement, you may be like giving away everything and your rights, your name, image, likeness, tied to those actual rights that the person would have. So right now they're trying to consolidate it and come up with a uniform way of looking at this.
Yeah, I just think you go down a very slippery slope, and you're going to need more lawyers. You're going to need more pieces of paper. I mean, you're basically asking someone to litigate something that hasn't happened yet, and to use your imagination of what they could use, say, your voice for in the future, which we have no idea. Steve Olenick, good to see you.
I think
have a good weekend.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks for having me.